Hey, everybody, and welcome to some exciting news that we've got for Darkest Dungeon 2. The next update is ready to drop, and it is dropping tomorrow. It is called Road of Redemption, and it's got a lot of fun stuff in it. So I'm going to talk today about the dev stream that we had. This has covered quite a bit of things going on, and some of the stuff that we're going to see. I'm going to go ahead and pause it because there's some interesting stuff happening in the background there. But this was streamed by Red Hook Studios today. They have announced that the next update, which is going to be focused around driving, it does seem to have some other things around it as well, is going to be dropped tomorrow. So I'll be making some more videos tomorrow. Definitely consider subscribing because we're going to go through all the updates in depth tomorrow, talk about everything that's been added and changed and whatnot. I don't think they covered it all here, but this did give us quite a few things to look at. So first and foremost, what is this update about? It's called the Road to Redemption, and it is a focus on driving and making driving a more enjoyable experience for the player. It has been something that many of us have complained about for quite some time. I know that you just hit W and you just kind of go and it doesn't feel very interesting. Well, they have made some changes to try and address that. And one of the biggest things here, and you can see down there, we have Chris and Michaela, who are two of the people who work at Red Hook Studios. Chris being one of the leads. They talk about wanting to add kind of these possibilities to the driving experience, different things that can happen. And I think that's a really good way of looking at it, because it's not adding way too much, but I think it is adding a lot of kind of just fun. It's making the driving feel more tactical, more something that you have to make decisions about. Do I go left or right? Whereas before it was more just like, do I take a fight or not? Now it's, well, there's a lot more options to it, and we'll talk about what those options are here in a minute. Now, before we get into the road stuff, I think, let's see how early on we can get. This is the wrong one. Their stream split in two. My bad. I forgot about that. This was their stream broke down halfway through. So one of the other things that's been added, and something that we want to definitely showcase here, is going to be the addition of pets. So pets are here. We've got pets now. It's awesome. It's cool to see. They showcased one of them, and they talked about a few others. I should probably have had this up, but you can see here the companionship tab is now available, or will be available. And they talk about the different pets, and basically what these are is a item that you can add to your stagecoach. You buy it at the first inn for, I think it said 1 relic. And you unlock all of the different options here at the altar, and you go ahead and can select your pet. And they have basically these effects that will stay with you the entire run. So here you can see the first one you unlock is called the Orphan Wolf Cub. It gives a +5 stress resist per luxury gear item equipped. I'm assuming that they're going to be adding like tags like they have for other items like combat items and stuff. Probably going to be adding tags that says luxury gear here. So I'm assuming that some items will be considered luxury gear, others will be considered something else. So for each of those that you have in your stagecoach, you can get an additional 5% resist, which if you can get all of them to be luxury, that's what, 4 tabs? That's a 20% base resist of stress that you can add to your team if you got all luxury items. That's pretty cool. And then a plus 10% positive relationship chance just across the board, which is really, really cool. So that's pretty interesting stuff to take a look at there. The other thing I will say about the altar is they have moved it, which is something that a lot of people have been really interested in. So it now comes before the crossroads. It's the first thing you go to after your run, or the first thing before the next run. It's like in that void area before the cutscene, before you pick your act, before you pick your team. I'm not sure. They said they reworked the memories a little bit to fit into that. I'm not sure. They didn't really get to showcase that, so I'm not sure how that's all going to work. We'll talk about that more tomorrow when they actually drop the update, but pretty cool stuff. So it's really cool to see pets. Some of the more interesting ones, there's a wolf cub. I think they mouse over some of them here. Yeah, so there's a wolf cub. There was like a slime. There's a rabbit, which is the one that they picked in the run. I believe the other ones are, there's the Shambler's Spawn, which they show right here, which is pretty cool. There was a tick, like something to do with the bloodsuckers. There's the slime, like I said, the baby crocodilian. There was a baby shrieker. So there's also like a baby snake, a baby which is like a reference to the shield breaker, and a couple others. I can't remember them all. So pretty interesting stuff here. I'll be excited to see how they all work, if they all have, like, I'm assuming the ones to the right here that are further apart probably going to have much more profound effects on the run. but interesting nonetheless. So the next thing to talk about is that the valley is much shorter now. Oh, there's something interesting. So they've gotten rid of the hoarder and the assistance encounter in the valley, and those have now been kind of moved into the inn. Not the assistance encounter per se, at least as far as relationships, but everything. There's nothing before you get to the fight, essentially. So this has been made much shorter, which is, I think, a really nice thing, because you're going to be repeating this a lot. So it's kind of like the old road now, where you just kind of have a fight and then you just get to the first, to the hamlet, essentially. You'll also see that, actually you can't see because my face is in the way. I wonder if I can move myself without breaking everything. This is a really professional video. You can see here in the top left, we've got some interesting things. We'll talk about that. That's going to be a bit more of the driving stuff, but I would like to, you can see here, it looks like they've got new mashes at the old road now. You can also see my death counter here. This is a really, it's a really good video. Obviously super professional. So I don't even know where that is. There you go. That's from my Dark Souls runs, which, by the way, you should watch my streams and check out my Dark Souls run. Definitely go over there and follow me. But yeah, it looks like we've got new mashes here at the beginning. I don't know if this is just like one new one or if they've added a bunch of new ones. Not sure, but pretty interesting to see 4 ghouls at the beginning is definitely, or lost souls, whatever they're called. Not ghouls. 4 ghouls at the beginning would be pretty rough. Is a really interesting one. So. All right, so you can see that. It looks like then we get to the inn. So here you'll see some of the new stuff here at the Wainwright. So the stagecoach now has 2 tokens, essentially. You could see them in the top left earlier. It has what they call wheel tokens and armor tokens. And essentially, you have to keep those maintained. If you keep them at max, it seems like you get a buff. I don't know what the armor buff gives you, but the wheel... Or sorry, I don't know what the wheel buff gives you, but the armor one, it looks like if you keep your armor at max, everybody starts with a block token at the beginning, which is like, that's really powerful if you can like maintain your armor level pretty high. So that's pretty interesting. And then I'm just kind of skipping through here. So here you can see some of the pets. We have the owl, the pliskin or pilskin, and the rabbit. So here you can see the pygmy pliskin, that's what it's called. Plus 5% healing received from skills per medical gear item again. It looks like they've changed or added some sort of tag system. So you can get like, what, plus 20% healing received from skills. And then a random hero after each location heals 5%. That can be really powerful. Just kind of an additional base heal. I don't think they cover what the owl did. I'm trying to see if I can like frame perfect it. Oh, there it is. Unnatural owlet. Plus 5% debuff resist piercing. That's a new terminology per Tinker's gear item equipped. So okay, this is actually one that's pretty cool. It's one of the few things in the game that looks like it can modify how much you can apply debuff, how effective you are at debuff. Increased chance of producing items from stagecoach items. That's pretty cool. So if you have stagecoach items that produce stuff, you get a higher chance of it happening. So that's an interesting one. And then the reanimated rabbit is a +1 speed per food gear item equipped. So you can get probably up to 4 speed, which is powerful if you're not, if you're not trying to run readout. And then +1 max HP per 4 food items in inventory. Interesting. So hoarding food can give... I wonder how much food you could hoard. If you get like the food stacking, like the barrels, I think it is, and the ice box, which I'm guessing would be food gear, you could probably get a crud ton of food stacked if you got it early on, right? Like a reason to keep slime mold and stuff and just stack it in your inventory. Interesting. So these are the pets. So you get a selection of 3 of them, it seems, at the inn, and then you pick one of them. You have to buy them at the first inn. You don't get them again. And once they're attached to your stagecoach, which you do at the Wainwright, it is permanent, from what I can tell. Nothing. It looks like some of the prices have changed and a couple things there. But let's move on to kind of the bread and butter, which is the actual driving update. So here you can see on the left-hand side the new map system, right? So whereas before we pretty much only had just broken roads and non-broken roads, and the broken ones had combat and the non-broken ones didn't, there are now 4 things that can spawn on the road. So here we can see a couple of them. Well, 5 technically, I guess. You can have nothing spawn on the road, so it can be a safe road. You can have combat spawn on the road, which is these red ones here. You can have an Oblivion Tear, so that goes into the new loathing system, which they've rehauled loathing completely. You can see loathing is now on the right side. It now has 4 pips, and you gain loathing by going through one of these tears, which can apply either on just the road itself or on some of the nodes. Like you see there's the candle here. Sometimes the node can be like a void touch, I think they called it. And then the other ones that are on the map that we can't see right now are hazards and rough patches, I think they're called, right? So hazards are basically traps that when you go over the hazard, and they have different animations in each region. The one that they show the sprawl one where they get like thrown by like a bunch of like flaming rocks or Molotovs get like hit the cart. Those take off one of your armor tokens every time you go over it, and then the rough patches, which I don't think we saw in this stream, so I don't know what those look like. Those apparently take off one of your wheel tokens. So essentially, you're going to have to pick like which way you go, and what happens. And I don't know if we get to see it here. It's probably in the next stream. Actually, I think that's the way it is. What happens when you cross the? Okay, so here you can actually see. This is what I think that's a rough patch over here. I think that's what. Yeah, it has the wheel symbol. So maybe they go to it. I don't know. I didn't watch everything, but essentially, once you go over that, this is it right here. So once you hit 0, you get a repair fight, which is what this is called, urgent repairs, and it is a fight that spawns where you get this. So sorry, I'm trying to explain all of it. There's a lot to explain. So you get 2 different kinds of repair fights. You can have one that happens when you lose all your armor and one that happens when you lose all your wheels. If you get the one when you lose all your wheels, we didn't get to see this one, but they said that you get the repair token, and then you also get another token that's called something like Don't Leave Me Behind or something, which will, and I think it goes on a different person every time, or maybe it's the same person. They didn't show this one, but it will pip stress up every turn. It's basically a horror token with a 100% guarantee of hitting stress every turn that you continue. And the goal of this fight is to kill the enemies. If you get the armored one, the person who generates the repair token, which is on both of them, gets a vulnerable token as well. And what the repair token does is it basically is a stun. It basically forces whoever has the repair token at the beginning of the round, and it changes every round. They have to repair the cart here. I think they'll show it here. So they've got this must fix the stagecoach, and so you have to click on this, and essentially you repair it. It has a little animation, and that's your turn. You can't do anything about it. You have to do that, and it skips that person's turn. So these fights, this is a regular bandit fight. Chris said something that the antiquarian might spawn a bit more, and I think he also said that they're like harder fights generally. So you're probably going to run into like maybe like an implication or something. You're going to have rougher fights, and they're not round limited. You have to kill all the enemies, and you basically get an action stolen from you, while also having to deal with the vulnerable token if it's armor, or the stress up if it's wheels. So that's pretty interesting. I really like it. I think it gives you more, like, again, tactical decision on the map choices about like where you go and what you do. So pretty interesting stuff there. They did say they reworked the loathing system. They didn't really say what happens. Chris kind of said when you reach max loathing, he said that the confession boss there will be a confession based thing that happens. Like it could be mass affliction or like stress, or it could be like health. I don't know. Those are the 2 he said. I don't know what it looks like. They didn't show it. You can see here there's more of those Oblivion's tears, and you still reduce it the same way that you increased it. And so loathing has been rehauled. I don't think the exemplar spawns anymore at the top loathing, but they didn't say yay or nay on that one, so I have no idea. And yeah, so pretty interesting stuff there. We'll have to see how loathing feels now. I think each of them just increases. It just does the same thing before. It was like increased flame drain or whatever the case is. And so yeah, definitely more choices on the road now. Scouting is a lot more prevalent because you don't want to end up in a bad situation where you're like, oh, I really don't want to take a hard fight right now, but if I run over a rough patch, I'm going to lose that last little bit of wheel, and I'm going to be SOL. So definitely interesting stuff. The other thing that's changed or is changing, they talked about, is they're going to be shortening the denial confession, at least initially, for like new players. So the confession denial in this new patch, they said it'll be for everybody, but I think Chris mentioned that they would be able to unlock like a full denial run. But right now, denial is it's only 2 regions. It's a sprawl and a tangle. So you only have sprawl and tangle to choose from. He said that was to kind of compensate for the fact that new players only have like blight-centric heroes, and those areas are more weak to blight, where the fetter and the shroud are tougher regions for like new players and stuff. So they wanted to be able to kind of onboard players. I don't know if that means that there's no exemplar at the end. We didn't get to the end. They died before that happened. And Chris also said that there's been changes to the mountain, so we'll have to see what that also entails. I think for the most part, that covers pretty much everything that they talked about in the stream. I definitely recommend going to Red Hook Studios' Twitch channel and watching the VODs and kind of catching all the stuff. I'm sure I missed some stuff, but that's the basics. So we've got pets, we've got driving, we've got shorter denial, and they said that there are other changes too. They talked about some tweaks that they might be making to trinkets and things. I don't know what those all are, and I'm not sure, you know, what that all will entail. But definitely tomorrow when this drops, I'm going to be making videos on the patch notes. I'm going to be doing a playthrough on it on my stream. So definitely make sure to come by. If you're not already subscribed to the channel, do consider subscribing. I'd really appreciate it. Thanks for watching this kind of scuffed video, but I wanted to get out. I just literally just got off work. You can see I'm in my college shirt and everything. So thanks all for being here. I appreciate it. I will catch you all tomorrow with the update. Super excited for this one. And yeah, thanks for watching. I appreciate it.